Calimera. You muppet. Malaka. Alright, number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and we've got the Greek man again. So look, he finally released his review of the Odyssey. We're talking about, of course, George the Giant Slayer. Now, I know I need to drop the word "of course" from what I just stated, because believe it or not, I made a previous reaction to him, which went very well. You guys loved him, which is why I'm reacting to him again. But here's the thing. So many people in the freaking comments keep asking me, what channel is this? Where can I find him? Am I missing the link? Yes, you are missing the link, you muppet. Okay. Triple, okay? Just like the previous. You can see it on screen. George the Giant. How am I not subscribed, by the way? Goodness gracious. I think I subscribed with the second channel. There you go, fixed. So, George the Giant Slayer, you 232,000 subscribers. Or click the link in the freaking description box you have never ventured in. Or click the pinned comment. Is that enough for you to find the guy? Anyways, we're going to check out his review. And then we're actually talking in private. And he's going to be a guest on this channel, not a reaction thing, just me and him having a fun conversation about the Odyssey. That's happening soon, particularly if this video goes well. So do make sure to leave a comment, share it with everyone you know, and with that being said, hit me.
I survived Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. I should have shirts made. I survived Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. I got out of the movie theater, came home, took a shower, scrubbed off 3 of the longest hours of Hollywood Botox I ever sat through.
Wow.
Made a strong Greek coffee, had a couple of cigarettes, then put on Lord of the Rings and Princess Mononoke back to back, just to remind myself what real storytelling feels like.
Thank you.
And that's when it hit me. I finally realized what was bothering me.
Yeah, look at the elves.
Peter Jackson understood it. Hayao Miyazaki understood it. Christopher Nolan did not.
Okay.
Stories don't become universal by abandoning their roots. Stories become universal because they have deep roots.
True.
It's like when I travel to Greece. I don't fly halfway across the world in order to go eat at the same damn barbecue joint that I can find 10 minutes away from my own backyard. I go to Greece to taste Greece.
Yes, panakopita, not Lupita.
To breathe Greece, to live
He's
Greek.
Right. Yes.
Not Nolan.
No.
It took one look at a 3,000-year-old root system, soaked in wine, blood, gods, gore, Greek culture, and a cunning bastard, and he turned it into a happy meal. The McMyth.
Ooh, the milk myth. Oh gosh, I freaking love this guy.
No Greek flavor, no Greek soul, no Homer. Just a Trojan horse surprise at the bottom of the box.
Yeah, not even a little bit of tzatziki. Tzatziki. Come on.
So you got to ask, if Homer is the father of Western culture, Greece the mother of Western civilization,
Thank you.
who exactly is Christopher Nolan?
A muppet.
Huh? He's just the Hollywood pimp who screwed our parents on film just to release revenge porn in glorious 70mm IMAX.
Yeah.
And you know what's really funny? Is that Emily Wilson, the woman whose translation inspired the whole damn thing, the woman that Nolan treated like the Oracle of Delphi, just admitted that she would be ashamed to pen any part of that script.
Plot twist, bitch! Oh my gosh, that was... Yeah, they called her MAGA for it. A screaming, raging feminist lunatic has now been labeled MAGA because she dared to say Nolan's Odyssey's rendition of Homer's Odyssey is Homie's Odyssey at best.
Karma. She's a bitch. And just for the record, unlike Wilson, I bought a ticket to see Backrooms and then walked straight into the Fraudacy. No shame, full Greek pride.
Oh.
Not giving Nolan a plug nickel.
Oh, goodness gracious, man. Well, I can't... okay. I'm not going to comment on that, okay? I didn't hear it. I'm not going to comment on that.
And I was right. Elliot Page is playing Achilles. Just not in the way you think.
Yeah.
Much worse. And if all that isn't enough, I've spent the last 2...
I wonder what he means by that, because she's not, unless you're saying that it was, like, I think the conspiracy... Well, I'll let him talk, but I do think that was Achilles until they changed.
Weeks fighting bronchitis, all while trying to reflect on the review. And then I woke up to this.
Itching for Ithaca.
Get past the Peloponnesian Peninsula.
Odyssey.
Mediterranean.
Psych out of cyclone.
They lost their damn minds. Somebody get the straitjacket. and reserve the rubber room. I mean, seriously, folks, psych out a Cyclops, crater his cranium, Cersei turn men into bacon bits. The Odyssey.
They're freaking ruining anything beautiful about the Mediterranean, and it makes me want to scream.
Uh-huh.
It's not for
and
you
if
to
my
grab.
aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. Yeah. Christopher Nolan spent the last year promising the foundational myth of Western civilization. I spent the last 14 days fighting a fever and trying to digest what the hell I had just watched.
Maybe you got the fever because of it. It was your body, your organism complaining.
In the end, I discovered that the movie is really no different than the marketing. Just a bunch of pampered millionaires who wouldn't last 5 seconds trying to live by Homer's code.
True.
Yet they had the nerve to take a look at the one story that survived time itself and decided that Homer needed their notes.
Yeah, not only that, they find it despicable. They think he's a misogynistic. They think he's misogynistic. The thing is, they have no honor, no decency. It's a disgrace, is what it is. This guy's great. I always tell you, this guy's great.
Nowhere is their arrogance any clearer than in the ending they changed. Homer's ending was about justice, order restored, a kingdom reclaimed, family reunited, the gods happy. Nolan took one look at that and said, nah, too grim, too misogynistic. By the way, he wouldn't know how to figure out how to put rap in the end credits if he had to do that. All right, it's truth time. Not my truth, not your truth, not a soy sister's personal truth, not a politician's rented truth. Most definitely not Christopher Nolan's Hollywood lies that identify as the truth. Just the truth.
The truth with capital T at this point. We need to change the spelling because there is so much my truth and your truth these days that we really need truth with a capital T. We need to revise the spelling. They've been complaining about spelling all the time. They revise spelling all over the place. When they're like, white is lowercase, but black is uppercase when talking about ethnicity, out of respect. Okay. Well, then I want T uppercase when it's the truth, and all your bullshit is T lowercase.
And today we're going to drag every line to the light just to watch them burn. And the best place to start, before I tell you what Nolan did to Homer, let Nolan tell you himself.
You brought to life one of the greatest and hardest epics ever. What was your driving force behind it?
Emma was my driving force behind it, so she could speak to that.
What films did you kind of screen for the cast and crew ahead of the Odyssey, if any?
We looked at Scorsese's Last Temptation of Christ, which is such a kind of fresh and accessible, window into history.
Holy Mother Mary on milquetoast. Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ was the template for the Odyssey. Let that one marinate in your mind for a second. The guy who tackled the story that taught the West what a hero is looked at the movie where Jesus wanted to ditch the Messiah gig also he could have a baby with Mary Magdalene before buying a suburban starter home in
I did not watch that one.
Bethlehem. Nolan calls that an accessible window into history. You want to understand the Fraudacy? That is the man's Rosetta Stone.
The Fraudacy. You know, again, I appreciate this 50 million times more because this is a real discussion about the Odyssey and what it is than people like Ben Shapiro trying to defend it and tell us it's conservative as a movie. Those are liars at this point. Delusional. Either they're delusional or intentional liars. I don't know. Maybe, okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they're actually delusional. This is the truth. That's what I resonate with, not that nonsense. And besides, even if they were actually trying, no, but they're actually trying to intentionally push a Christian message. Yeah, good luck with Hollywood. It's unintentional. But even if it was intentional, I would say no, it's not pertinent to the classical Antiquity and Bronze Age. As a Christian, I don't want a Christian message when you're telling me an ancient Greek story. I want an ancient Greek message because I want to relive into that period that preceded the advent that for me is the most important in the history of mankind, which is the advent of Jesus the Messiah, the Lord and King of Kings. But I don't need you to change things. You don't need to tell me, oh, look, this is prehistory and Jesus was walking with people. He wasn't walking with people. He was in heaven at that point.
Who has a story about Odysseus? You have a story?
Yeah, I have a story about Odysseus, but not the one Nolan dragged through the mud, the one Homer wrote. And don't worry if you haven't read it. Here's the real story. It's about a man who spent 20 years away from home.
Yeah.
10 fighting the war he never wanted, 10 fighting his way to get back to his wife, his son, and his soul, to feel it right under his feet.
Yep.
He overcame kings, gods, monsters. He outsmarted them all. He rejected immortality, refused goddesses, turned his back on temptation, and then had to watch every man who sailed with him die one by one.
It's a very good point. Although when it comes to turning his back at temptation, with the exception of when he actually slept around. But yeah.
Why? The Greeks have a word for it, one that Hollywood forgot. Nostos.
Nostos. Yeah.
Homecoming. But it's not just a memory. It's not just a house. It is a bone deep ache of all the people and places that made him who he was.
Yeah.
It is a journey back to oneself. That's the Odyssey.
Yes.
It's Homer's story, a human story that has survived for 3,000 years precisely because every single one of us have had one moment in time where the world beat the living hell out of us.
Yes.
And the only thing that we wanted was to get back home as ourselves. Well, I should know. At 7 years old, I was kidnapped. I was tortured for an entire year in a basement. And every day,
Goodness gracious, I did not know that.
the one thing that got me through everything outside of my face was my memory. It was faith. It was Superman from Saturday
So sorry to hear that, brother.
morning cartoons. But then it was my mom. It was Odysseus. It was Kolokotronis. It was the Akos. Every single day, one goal: get home. That's where Giant Slayer comes from. Beat my first giant before the age of 8. So no,
Respect for that.
this isn't just another review of just another Hollywood movie. This is about protecting our home,
Yes.
about preserving our children's inheritance. Homer wrote the greatest homecoming story ever told. Nolan turned that into the longest apology ever filmed.
The longest apology ever filmed. For what? For being white. Are we telling it how it is or no?
You have this concept of Xenia. We don't refer to it as Xenia in the film because I think that would be confusing. So we just refer to it as Zeus's law. But it's that idea that, you might look like a humble beggar, but you could be a god in disguise. And that becomes the theological underpinning for a society that saw gods everywhere. Gods walked amongst us back then in everybody's estimation. It becomes the theological underpinning of the golden rule, of the idea that, treat others as you would be treated.
Everything Christopher Nolan just said about Xenia, absolutely true. Respect the stranger, honor the guest, protect him, give him shelter. Without it, our civilization rots. It's a beautiful belief. Homer believed it, the Greeks believe it, hell, I believe it deep down in my bones. And that's what makes this whole thing so bloody tragic. Nolan said that Xenia is the heartbeat of his film, yet he entered Homer's house as an honored guest, and the very first thing he did, perform open heart surgery.
Yeah.
Right out of the starting gate, you can see the very first incision, right when he changed the core of the story. He starts the movie with two of Homer's most beloved characters, a rapper stomping his stick, retelling the epic, and Sinon running on the beach to meet the Trojan soldiers.
That is so true. Slap in the face.
What? You don't remember the great Sinon from the Odyssey? I wouldn't blame you, because he's an ancient Roman import from Virgil's Aeneid. Like I said, right out of the gate, you have Nolan has already ripped the heart out. The patient is flatlining. That means that every organ is going to die right after.
You know what's insane? He's absolutely right. But the thing is that the only reason why he has added these things, because these are additions. So you have to think why. And don't for a second say, oh, no, it's artistic creativity. It's not. So why did he do it? Well, he had to add Sinon because he had to find a way, an excuse to cast the transgender actor. Although then again, I do believe that initially that was supposed to be Achilles, and then they chickened out. Chicken. That's what I think. But whatever, even if not, Sinon, because he needs an excuse. They beheaded the statue of Athena, which did not happen in the story. Why? Because that way I can have the priesthood look like the priestess that is going to be also beheaded during that raiding of that desecration of the temple. She's going to look like Zendaya, so now I can explain why. You see, that's why that's an excuse to cast Zendaya. And then the same thing with the rapper at the beginning. Why? Well, because rap is, it's kind of oral poetry, if you will, so it's kind of like what they did back in the day, so that's the excuse. These are all excuses that mean nothing. And they are there simply for the reason of, well, I gotta find a reason to justify. It's a justification. And that's the same thing with Lupita Nyong'o. Why? Oh, well, because she's beautiful, and I only see skill, I don't see, that's what they say, I only see skill, I don't see skin. Right. but you would never do it the other way around. We know it. Shaka Zulu, Tom Cruise, not gonna happen. I thought you only saw skill. These are all excuses, which means they are all lies.
It's the same thing with the gods. Zeus, Poseidon, Hermes, Helios, all gone.
Gone, yeah.
They're no longer the gods that walked among men as Homer wrote, or as the Greeks believe. They're now more like representatives of Hollywood's human resources department. A little lightning, a little thunder, a little fire, all abstracts of nature, all very modern, all very Roman. And here you thought this was going to be a Greek epic. Congratulations. You just got Nolan.
Oh, no, Greek. No, Greek.
You go and tell them, Costa, a Greek story without a Greek soul. But hey, they sprinkled in enough Greek buzzwords on top to make Hollywood feel cultured.
True.
That's Christopher Nolan doing his thing, doing his best to sucker in all the Nolanoids that worship in his temple of IMAX.
The Nolanoids on his temple of what?
Nolan doing his thing, doing his best to sucker in all the Nolanoids that worship in his temple of IMAX. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I used to be one of them. I can spot the tells. I used to own the 4Ks, collected the steel books, put up the posters, defended every frame. Today, my Inception t-shirt has a nobler purpose. I use it to wipe my beagle's ass. That's the bare minimum Nolan deserves.
True.
Because the moment that he exploited Xenia, he forfeited all protections of a guest in our Greek home.
He's absolutely right. On our Greek home, I love it. I'd like to extend it to say in our Mediterranean home, if you're okay with that.
He used Sinon, whose very name means harm, as the symbolic main character of the movie, bookending him from beginning till the end. And that meant one thing, that the film's foundation was all built on a fraud.
Yep.
That's the fraudacy.
Your performance is incredible.
Your performance is incredible. The liars. The only reason why you're saying that is because this way you can virtual signal. Because his performance was not incredible. It doesn't matter, it's only 3 minutes. So how was the performance incredible in 3 minutes? And it wasn't. It objectively wasn't. If it was, I would have said it. I would have said I disagree with the casting, but the performance was great. No, the performance was not great. But they have to say it. Why? Because they, them.
In this, it truly took my breath away. You have such an important role in the film, and that you...
Dishonesty makes me want to puke, because it's not... You think, oh, well, she's being nice. No. She's thinking about herself, how she can appear inclusive and all of that nonsense to the rest of the cultists. It's as if there is no one in front of people like this. There is a mirror, and all they see is their reflection. How good do I sound? How virtuous am I? Look, she's not even looking. She's looking up. It's a mirror. This is what this is.
You're really the heart and soul, and your character stays all the way through the end. I mean, in a way, you're kind of embodying Odysseus's shame and selfishness.
What are you on about? We make shit up.
Looking at nature as if it's some sort of cis heteropatriarchal structure is absurd.
Oh no, there is no message. There is no message. It's a conservative message, and that's what you get from the actors. You're a bunch of clowns if you think this is a conservative movie.
And that this, gender binary that we've created is nothing but a quaint little myth.
Yeah, it's a quaint little myth, the gender binary. Binary is wrong. Too bad that binary and non-binary is still a binary concept. Deal with that.
And it's just terrific, and I just thought this was such a great part for him.
I want to be clear on one thing. This movie is not Odysseus' story. It is his trial. Sinon is Nolan's star witness. Everything else, Circe, Calypso, the Cyclops, the suitors, all just more evidence in the same case. Once you start putting all the puzzle pieces together, the picture comes into focus, and then you're going to see this movie wasn't about monsters. It is about proving that Odysseus was the biggest monster of all. It is about proving that Odysseus was the biggest monster of all. Picture comes into focus, and then you're going to see this movie wasn't about monsters. It is about proving that Odysseus was the biggest monster of all.
Right.
See, that's the difference between me and all the other Hollywood critics. They claim this is another Nolan movie about time and memory. I'm like, wrong. This is about something much darker. Is philosophy.
Yeah.
And that is that all great men who do great deeds to win a war must be publicly punished by apologizing for the rest of their lives for winning it. Doesn't matter what they left behind, doesn't matter what they gifted the world. The verdict must be unanimous. They are found guilty.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between an ancient epic poem and a modern Hollywood production. Homer took a look at the Trojan horse and he saw the ultimate expression of Metis, cunning intelligence used in the service of a just cause. Nolan took a look at the same horse and he saw the Greeks' original sin.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere between Troy and Universal Studios, the core question changed. Homer asked, can the king make it home? Nolan asked, does the king even deserve to?
Does he deserve
It's not a small change. It's not even a modern adaptation. That is presentism. Judging a foundational mythology with today's fashionably fiction.
I mean, and he did say it before anyone tries to gaslight and say, no, it's not presentism. Okay, but he did say adapted for a modern audience now, didn't he?
Morality. It's like remaking The Lord of the Rings, where you have Frodo hand the One Ring over to Sauron because the Dark Lord deserves proper representation. See, how we tell the stories of our dead.
Yeah, it's like you need to accept the waves of orcs because otherwise it's, you need to be nice to anyone. Everyone is nice. Everyone,
feels the heart of the civilization telling it. In Homer, the dead Achilles bequeaths wisdom to Odysseus. In the Odyssey, the dead Sinon preaches a grievance gospel and belittles Odysseus.
Maybe a little bit like that, not belittle, but a little bit about grievance with the idea of the ghost of Achilles, which I believe that was. Because the ghost of Achilles, he still thinks that all the glory, I wish I could have lived as a peasant, as a farmer, and still be alive. So, I mean, there is a little bit of that, to be fair, in the Iliad, but yeah.
Christopher Nolan didn't make the Odyssey. He remade Oppenheimer with Corinthian helmets. And once he was done harvesting his heart for Oscar glory, he reached for the scalpel to rip out the man's brain.
But it certainly presents us with an Odysseus who feels very bad about certain things that he's done in war and is struggling to process them in a very, I would say, very modern psychiatrized way. And he's struggling to process them and needs drugs to do so for help with his recovery.
It doesn't really get much better than that.
True.
The woman whose translation Nolan used just called out his bastardization of her bastardization. Come on, that's priceless.
It is priceless also because at the end of the day, we can dislike her or her politics or whatever you like and her translation. But she has read the Odyssey. She knows the Odyssey. She knows every word of the Odyssey, which is why the people that don't, but are mad at her because she was supposed to say that Nolan did a masterpiece, but they don't know anything. They haven't read it. They haven't done anything. They don't care about it. I could say anything about Emily Wilson. I do believe she cares for the Odyssey and the original material, even though she butchered it because she let her politics destroy it. Still, she has read it and she understands it. So if you're going to call her MAGA, because then you're revealing that then the problem wasn't the right-wing charts when a feminist who deeply knows the story agrees with us. It's a major problem. You're not going to be able to defend that. It's GG.
Now, Wilson and I just disagree on about everything.
Exactly.
But watching how she handled Nolan reminded me of my Aunt Grace when she would deal with me when I was a cocky teen. She'd turn to me and say, I love you, but you better behave, mister. And when I didn't, she'd spit out the classic, Asuvalo tadio podias en papuzzi. I'm going to put your 2 feet in one shoe. Now, every Greek watching now knows exactly what would happen if I kept mouthing off. The pandofla. And it's precise.
Pandofla. I love it because in Sicily we have the pantofola, which is the same thing. Due facce una razza.
Precisely what Emily Wilson whipped out. The verbal version of the dreaded house shoe. Mind you, she was a little bit too polite for my taste, but she spanked Nolan nonetheless. She gave him a couple of pops for the fact that he tried to represent goat's feed as Greek food. He had passionless romance, no sex, turned an epic poem into an epic mess, but I think she turned his bottom black and blue for the one reason that the director stripped Odysseus of his identity. Nolan cauterized the man's greatest gift, his mischievous wit. Why? Because he wanted to turn the hero into another housebroken Hollywood pet.
Right.
Why? To make him relatable for modern audiences.
Oh my gosh.
That's the price we pay for representation philosophy. Everything and everyone eventually gets domesticated. And it doesn't just happen in the Odyssey, it happens through all modern Hollywood film.
True, which is what I always say. The people that say, oh, so you're having a problem with a 5 minutes casting, it's not a 5 minutes casting, it's a 20 years casting, the race swapping. Stop the nonsense gaslighting. It's been going on for 20 years.
See, people don't buy movie tickets to spend 30 hours to watch themselves on screen. They buy invitations to visit worlds they only dreamed about, to meet heroes they wish they could be.
Yes.
But most of all, it's so they could leave the theater feeling more inspired when they walked in. So, if you actually watch the movie and walk out thinking you finally met Odysseus, think again. And now I'm going to introduce you to Wolfgang Peterson and the Hallmark Channel. Both know Homer much better than Christopher Nolan.
Odysseus. That old bastard drinks my wine and never pays.
Apparently there is a joke that Odysseus makes with Cyclops.
Yes. Yes.
He was very upset that that was not in the movie.
I understand. It's a pun. Puns in translation are tough. I tried. It was not possible to work it in.
It was not possible to work it in?
My name is Nobody. Nobody.
Right. Christopher Nolan says that joke could not be filmed because translating the pun was too difficult. I really love that answer that he gave, because it's obvious what we just saw. Sean Bean understood Odysseus. Armando Sante understood Odysseus.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, even in Italian, we translate il mio nome è nessuno. If I remember correctly, it's been a few decades now.
I mean, we even have George Clooney and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou understood it. Ralph Fiennes understood in The Return. Kirk Douglas understood him in Ulysses. Hell, even the Hallmark Channel with their $32 million budget understood that if you film a man minus his wit and humor, you'll end up with only half the human being that Homer wrote. You're not just losing a joke. You're losing the man.
Well, yeah, it's not even supposed to be a joke, in my opinion. It's supposed to be a witty. It's like, oh, he outsmarted him, man. That's cunning. That's what's supposed to be.
See, it wasn't just the problem, the joke to film it was impossible. The problem was that Christopher Nolan didn't want you to see that version of Odysseus.
Yeah.
It's the same way that he censored his ending. He sent the man in exile with his wife while leaving his son to rule in his stead. Homer's ending? The king returns. He slaughters the suitors who abused his house. He hangs all the women who slept with him. Justice restored. Family reunited. The gods bless them to live happily ever after. Nolan thought, yeah, too male, too macho, too happy, too heroic.
Also, you know, when he says it's misogynistic, why? Because he ended the maidens? So let me get this straight. I'm not even going to dignify with a justification. Think whatever you like. But how is it that if you show a treacherous maiden who slept with the people that were trying to steal the man's, meaning Odysseus' wife, and the life of his son? Remember, they plotted the murder of Telemachus. But it's misogynistic to show her being hanged, yet you're totally fine with suitors, the males, being introduced to the business end of a bronze axe and having their skulls split in two, or having an arrow through their throat. So how does it work? Violence in retribution towards is fine as long as you have a penis and not a vagina. Is that how it works? I'm very confused. Either you're against all violence and then there's nothing, you just understand it because the screen goes dark because you don't want to show violence, or I'm confused. The only type of violence that I get that should never be shown is towards children. That's the way I think of it. And the violence that struck me and makes me feel bad is when it's against innocence. Sometimes that's done though, right? When there are like victims in a movie and then you're like, oh no, it was an innocent, and it makes you feel bad. But violence against treacherous people who want to murder the son of the king? What are we even talking about? How is that misogynistic? The problem was not that they were women. The problem was that they wanted Telemachus dead and they tried to betray the trust of their lords.
Too loving, too faithful. Not made for modern audiences. And that's the thing today.
Yeah.
His movie doesn't celebrate the virtues that carried a man home. He studies the wounds that kept him from that. Hollywood doesn't make heroes anymore. They manufacture mental patients. Christopher Nolan just happens to be the latest celebrity surgeon on call. And the good doctor wasn't finished operating until he finally severed the spine of the story.
If you're basing this on a poem where the hero is not necessarily motivated by romantic love or being a nice suburban parent, but actually he wants glory, and he wants to get spoils from the sack of a city, which is, you'll see what Nolan does with all of that, but it's different things from what Homer does.
Right.
I kept looking in vain for a sense that
You see, this is a person who knows the text differently from Nolan's shills.
this was a film about glory. I think it's a film that has some interest in shame, but I don't think it has any interest in glory.
Emily Wilson says it's all about glory. Christopher Nolan says it's all about shame. How do we know to judge who's right? Listen to Homer. From Robert Fagel's Odyssey Book 6, Odysseus talking to Nausicaa. And for yourself, may the gods grant you your heart's desire, a husband and a home, and the blessing of a harmonious life. For nothing is greater or finer than this, when a man and a woman live together with one heart and one mind, bringing joy to their friends and grief to their foes.
Oh no, that's like a pro-marriage, isn't it? Pro-traditional marriage, and it's a heteronormativity. Of course they removed that. They didn't even cast a freaking princess. And then you tell me it has a conservative message. Shapiro Ben, Speaker of the House.
Their own best claim to glory.
Unbelievable.
3 hours I was in a movie theater, stuck in a lazy boy that smelled of feta feet, and not 1 second of that famous speech made it to the big screen. The island of the Phaeacians, where Odysseus actually tells the bulk of his story, gone. The one passage where Homer lays out what is true glory, gone. Instead, Christopher Nolan hauled a 300-pound IMAX camera all across Greece, so every shot was framed so low, you'd swear Peter Dinklage directed it. Grand myth? No, grounded realism. It's like someone took a look at the Trojan horse and said, you know what this masterpiece of deception needs? Snorkels. So they took a horse, half sunk it into the ocean, and had Greek commandos breathing out of the reeds like they were auditioning for the next season of Shark Week. Why not just slap wheels onto it like Virgil's Aeneid? Or hell, follow Homer Simpson's lead. Nope. It makes too much sense. Christopher Nolan leached material from 2 ancient books, and what he gives us? One of Odysseus's crewmen is Indian, who requires a translator after listening to the one Greek actor Nolan hired.
That's so true. While saying we're Greeks from Ithaca, and it looks like, what is it going to make me?
Hired, who actually speaks Greek to tell him, hey, we're Greeks.
From Ithaca.
From Ithaca.
Yep. Which that's the message. That's the message. Indians, Muslims, black people, any non-white, POC, we're as Greek as you. We've just entered your country. Legally, illegally, it doesn't matter because it's Zeus's law, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we don't speak a lick of the language, and it doesn't matter because in 20 years, no one else does if we're done with immigration in Europe.
Things should have come with a warning. Not myth, pure comedy, just more Monty Python. And it's just like the gods. The marketing said, defy the gods. Nolan just deflated them in the movie. Athena's no longer the goddess of strategic war and wisdom, just a hallucination of one man's hangover of self-hate. Calypso, no longer an eternal goddess, tempting man with hot olive oil massages, sex, and eternal youth, just postmenopausal Charlize Theron running an Ozempic retreat, all while dealing drugs to Matt Damon's character, so he forgets that he was the ancient Med's smartest bastard who beat people with his minds and won.
Not to mention, I love it, people with his minds, that's exactly it. And not to mention, that's a mixture of book 5 and book 9, because the Lotus Eaters are on book 9, not book 5, where Calypso is. But he needed it because the PTSD treatment is drugs.
A war. Toss in Circe, no longer a terrifying goddess, just an ugly witch who moonlights as a Park Avenue plastic surgeon. Today's special gentleman, free lip filler with every full-body pig transformation. Why? Because men suck and women rule. But I'll tell you one thing, Nolan actually nailed that scene. The effects were brilliant. For a moment, I stopped smelling the feta feet in the lazy boy and actually felt a little tingle of fear. He's got a future in directing horror. That's not sarcasm, just truth. But see, his problem has never been really about effects or the gray skies that he transformed Greece into Gotham by Gaslight, or the soundtrack which slapped your eardrums, requiring everybody post-cinema to hit a certified audiologist. His biggest problem was his rationale. On one breath, he says, the gods don't exist, and in the other, he says, they're real enough to kill you if you eat their prized sun-soaked cattle. So which is it? Are they real? Are they not? The answer to both is Christopher Nolan got high on Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, it's possible that he wanted to do a little bit of a thing like he did in Inception at the end where you're supposed to question it. I'll give him that, but still, not ancient Greece.
He works very hard, which I think everyone in this film is working very hard. No?
Even Emily Wilson couldn't make it through that with a straight face. You had the sirens. They were less like nude sunbathing psychics and more like CNN shrinks practicing their biofeedback singing Taylor Swift. Then you had the Cyclops turned into a sensitive one-eyed giant while the men were the real monsters. Nolan nailed the puppetry effects. Got to be fair, they were beautiful. Spectacle, A+. The meat of the substance, F. I got that same queasy feeling as the one and only time I ate pineapple on pizza.
Thank you, man. That's a brother of mine. Go subscribe right now. Anyone who fights pineapple or pizza is a brother in arms.
But what really did me in was the modern dialogue. The let's go, the 10 years on an effing beach. Our age of bronze is collapsing.
Oh, yeah, that line.
And plate liquor. That's right. Because nothing says Mycenaean civilization like plate liquor. But you got to hand it to Nolan. Without him, we would never have known that ancient Greek spoke like two guys shouting at the spandex squad for riding their bikes in the car lane. You know, there's a reason Mel Gibson shot Apocalypto using Yucatan Maya.
Yep.
Because he wanted to bring the audience in to transport them to another culture, to another time.
Yeah.
You use elevated language in an...
And that's supposed to be the racist film director. Instead, the progressive, tolerant and inclusive director destroys everything about whatever country they touch. As long as it's white, it's permitted.
Epic to elevate the audience's emotion. But in Nolan's stand, finger puppets emote more. Argos dies.
Nobody
Nothing.
cares. True.
Puppies thrown off a cliff just another Monday. A family reunites after 20 years. Nada. It's just three unpaid therapists on screen holding a conference talking about their traumatized inner childhood.
That's so true. So true. The Argos scene was like so wasted. Unbelievable.
And then it hit me. That's the material that the cast had to work with. So once you've seen them do 1,000 press conferences, you've pretty much seen the best they could give you. But what really struck me is that after the movie was released, Nolan's ego finally did an encore.
We live in an age that demands apology from greatness.
Yeah.
Great storytellers, when they portray greatness, Homer celebrates it. We circle around it, we dance around it, we turn greatness into privileges, and we demand apologies for it.
Are we going to treat greatness as an absolute, or coming from a democratic, coming from a more idealized philosophical state that we live in today's world, where we want to view people as equal? Do we have to apologize for that?
Well, you don't see whites as equal. You don't see Europeans as equal because you mistreat everything about us. Shut up. You're not the side of equality.
Greatness, and the answer is yes, we do, or the audience rejects the greatness.
When I think about...
He's really talking about himself as greatness. Oh my gosh. And there she is, the clown of all.
Equality or equity, I don't think about taking from a male figure. I think about getting what is due to me.
That is disgusting. That is disgusting. Lunatic, cultist, brain-dead, scum vermins was due to me. She's a millionaire, while there are millions and millions of Americans and Europeans and whatever you want, Africans. And then they look down on you. You're struggling to make ends meet. The millionaires look down on you, thinking they deserve everything you have. And everything you are, it's theirs for grabs. Scum.
And there you have Christopher Nolan's ego on display. And that's the man who wrote the entire script. So you might have noticed by now that I don't call the cast by any of their character names. That's because there's no Telemachus. Just Tom Holland, who forgot his Peter Parker costume. And you have no Odysseus, just Massachusetts Matt doing his best Jason Bourne. No Eumaeus, just John Leguizamo playing a race hustler, playing a Greek, who's still complaining that Hollywood won't let him hustle him anymore. The only two people who caught my attention for a little bit was Robert Pattinson doing his best Twilight impersonation. But most of all, it was Anne Hathaway. For about 10 seconds, I actually believed she was Penelope.
You see, like me, I did say it. I hate her politics, everything about her, but I did say this because I was trying to be unbiased. And I said I did enjoy up until the spiel, the feminist spiel at the end that ruined it. But you see, just like me, I did like her performance, but then...
Until she opened her mouth and the dialogue ruined it. And of course, the directions from Christopher Nolan.
Right.
But here's the thing. It really doesn't matter how talented the cast were because they had a damn 1970s VW bug in between them and their characters. That's the 300-pound IMAX camera. If they wanted to say, I love you, they would have to send it by carrier pigeon and then check the mirror to see if it landed. That's not their fault. I actually feel bad for them. Then throw in the fact that Matt Damon's stunt double was a 4'5" female with bigger biceps than Bourne. And suddenly, this whole thing is turning into a Comedy Central celebrity roast.
Oh my gosh.
There were these kind of stuntmen who were all 7 feet, right? And then they got stuntmen who were under 5 feet. And so my double was a woman, a female stunt performer, who had the greatest arms I've ever seen.
So Nolan is basically telling us that women make the best men. Got it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much possibly how we ended up with Elliot Page.
Right.
It doesn't really matter what Christopher Nolan's original intentions were for the character of Sinon. Sinon is no longer functioning as Sinon, but as a proxy for Achilles. True. Homer reserved a specific title for the legend. The greatest Greek warrior in history. And Matt Damon knighted Page with that title. Think about that.
He goes the extra distance to make it feel authentic for us on set, which then makes it feel more authentic for the audience in the theater.
Christopher Nolan went the distance.
Authentic, but I thought it wasn't about being authentic. I thought that we were all a bunch of bigots, raging lunatics for thinking that, oh, why do you want accuracy to the text, to the history, to the period? But then they say this. Bros, you've lost the culture war on this one. Like, it's indefensible.
It's all right. He just forgot that Homer didn't merely write myth. He recorded the moral architecture of Greek civilization.
Right.
So if you remove the bard's virtues, it really doesn't matter if the movie makes 1 billion or 10.
True.
It'll just end up being Avatar in sandals. Now, how many people you know that can actually quote a single line from any one of the Avatar movies? Mm-hmm. One, none, or just James Cameron. Again, it doesn't matter how successful the movie is. Money is a measure of popularity. Time is a measure of greatness.
I love this. Man, you make a t-shirt. Make a t-shirt, brother. I'll buy it.
No timeless morality, no immortality. Just imagine it for a moment. You want to go camping on Mount Olympus. You want to camp under the stars just like your grandparents did. They made a map for you. They left road signs. And then your parents spent their entire lives preserving them. You take the map, you start hiking, and the first thing you notice is the map tells you to go left. The sign tells you to go right. It dawns on you. And in the middle of the night, while nobody was looking, some malaka switched all the signposts. Left is right, up is down, home is somewhere else. Homer released the Odyssey at the dawn of civilization to provide light for the lost. Nolan released the Fraudacy at dusk so that the light can get lost in the dark. One teaches you how to find home. The other teaches you how to get comfortable being lost. For me, Hollywood can keep the malaka. I'll keep the map home.
Phenomenal. Nolan, Malaka. Man, that was phenomenal. Fantastic job. Looking forward to have you on this channel, brother. And to all of you, thank you very much for watching. Go subscribe to the man. Come on. You know you want it. Thank you. That was spectacular. If you appreciate my content so far and wish to help ensure my ability to continue to tell it how it is, regardless of any possible backlash, please support this channel on Patreon. Any support helps me and my team of academics keep the channel strong and gives us the means to fight back against the political rewriting of history. Stand with us, form the wall, defend the truth.